So, in theory, this should be the last Eurorack module I'll need for my current setup. I've been working on this IntelliGel palette case. I just totally dropped the stand here. Anyway, I've been working on this IntelliGel palette case now for the past week. The goal of this was to build this like Euclidian rhythm generator that I could easily hook into my MPC Live for just simple casual things. I like melodic house a lot, and I thought maybe this could be kind of a cool way to dabble into that with some really weird like just rhythms or notes that are being kind of sustained in a weird way or repeated in a weird way. I don't know, I'm still working through it. But what I realized is that this Pulsar module that I have here from Qu-Bit, it is really cool and it is super versatile, but this was what was providing the Euclidian rhythms via the gate for me. It was sending gates to all these different modules to create this timing of the patch, but I realized that it doesn't play very well with clock or syncing in general. And I've been working a lot with my MPC Live too into having it MIDI synced with a couple other things. You can actually see a video of one where I did recently here, or here, probably over here. And what happened was this guy, the clock works, but it just doesn't know where the 1 is. So if you're imagining you're having a cycle of beats going and you stop it on the 2 and then you play from a sequencer, in this case the MPC Live or Ableton or what sequencer have you, it will start on the 2 instead of the 1 again. There was no way of figuring that out. I had read online that you can use like the absorb and the burst section here to kind of accomplish that as a reset to make it fall in time and to know where the 1 was, but that never worked for me. And overall, I just realized that for what I want to do in terms of having this sync with the MPC Live, this wasn't going to be the module for me. So what did I buy? I got something from Tamon, I think it's called. Tamon, I'm not sure exactly what it is. But yeah, this is here. Tamon, I think it's from Germany. And this got here in 2 days, which is pretty cool, so shout out to them. I also noticed they sold, I think it's Jasper makes my synthesizer rack way back there. If you guys can see that or not. Whoop. But that's from like that's a German product too, but back when I got that, you couldn't get it in the States, so you had to like ship it from Germany. It was a whole ordeal, but Talmon got this module to me in 2 days. Obviously it's a lot smaller than that, but that's pretty cool to get something from across the water, across the Atlantic Ocean in 2 days. That's amazing. Or maybe Pacific, I don't know which way they went, but you get what I'm saying. So, I'm gonna tear this open here. This piece is gonna replace the Pulsar. So you can see all that packaging for just this. I love good old Eurorack packaging, and there is, cool, nothing else I have to worry about. Get rid of this, and now let's look at this guy. So this is the Euclidian Circles Mark II, Volume 2, Version 2. I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but this essentially is a Euclidian rhythm generator. And the thing that's different about here is that you have a clock input right there, if you guys can see that. And then we also have a reset input. So in theory, if I am triggering this from a MIDI clock or a MIDI clock to CV clock, I should be able to have the reset work. And now the last piece of the puzzle here is I have this really, really cool module. I should do a whole video on this, but it's so utilitarian, I probably won't. But there's this ML2 module here. And this is a Ableton Link clock. So if you have Ableton Link, or if you know what it is, it's a Wi-Fi enabled protocol that allows you to keep things in sync wirelessly. So if you were jamming out with a bunch of different MIDI instruments and like iPads and a bunch of people with computers on Ableton, you could use this to have it all wirelessly sync. And that's pretty badass. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna take out the Pulsar, put in the Euclidian Circles, and then kind of mess around with it and maybe see what this guy's gonna do for us. But this in theory should be the last patch or the last module I need for this rack. Now, that being said, if you can see this, I think we're gonna actually have more HP, or in the Eurorack world, that means more room, right? Because I think it's a slightly smaller module. And unfortunately, that means there's more room for things, and that could be a problem. I'm also gonna take out this 2 HP MIDI module here, because as cool as this was, it was really helping me with the MPC Live too. Because of this Ableton Link wireless, I don't need it anymore. And also the Ableton Link sends clock and reset, which you can also, or the ML2 I should say, sends clock and reset, which allows you to basically keep anything in Eurorack sync with Ableton Live. So yeah, I'm really excited for this. So we're gonna put it together. I'm gonna show you a quick little video of installing it. I'm gonna talk a little bit about that while also playing this cool track I've been working on, so you guys can check that out. And then we're gonna dive in and mess around with it a little bit. So let's get to that. So quick note on Eurorack, if anybody's intimidated by it, you really don't need to be. When I first started getting into this, I was super intimidated, mainly because of the patching, but also I was just worried about power. And if you don't know a lot about power, you'd probably be like, I'm pretty intimidated. But in theory, it's pretty simple. All you have to worry about is where the red stripe goes, because that's ground, and where it needs to plug into on the other end of this strip right here. Now, why that's important is because I guess you could potentially fry your Euroracks, and you could potentially fry your Eurorack modules, and I was super worried about that at first, but to be fully honest with you, a lot of the new ones have a spot where you have to put it in. Like this has a little groove here and a little hole right there, and it has to go right in there. So if you're worried about Eurorack modules, don't be scared of the actual installation, even though this IntelliJ palette case is like nearly impossible to install sometimes, and that kind of upsets me. Don't be worried about that. Just be worried about the actual signal path and the flow and understanding more about that. And there's tons of free tools you can use online to understand more about modular. And I highly recommend all those. I'll put a link in the description to one of them. This palette case is really hard to put stuff in. The stuff in the back is super tiny, and I guess you're supposed to take everything out, including the rails, and try that. But to be honest with you, I'm the kind of guy who just wants to do things as fast as possible, and that doesn't seem very fast. So it's just hard because you gotta slide it in this little groove and wait. Oh, never mind, I got it. Dope, back to the time lapse or whatever it's called. And time. Okay, we're done. Bada bing, bada boom. Look at that. Look how good that looks right there. Oh, it's such a cool looking module. I don't think the lighting is doing it well because it's kind of showing some shadow, but it's like a teal blue, which is actually one of my favorite colors. If you couldn't notice from the studio, it's a little bluer than that per se. But yeah, it looks cool. It looks sharp. Okay, so that's all done. Sorry, that took a little bit. But now we're gonna turn it on and start to hear things. Now for this next part, I'm gonna run all of the audio from this into the MPC Live 2. That's going to be my way of like sampling things, also keeping clock, and like I mentioned earlier, that whole Ableton Link thing. So yeah, just to put that out there, everything's going to run into that, and I'm also going to use some drums from that too. So let's go ahead and look at that setup here. We're in business. Okay. So now I've got it all synced, I've got it working up. We have right here, we've got it all ready to go. The clock is being sent in the Euclidian Circles. The reset is going as well. I had to do a little bit of manual diving, but I figured out the reset mode needed to be turned on or changed basically in order for it to receive the reset notes and to work correctly. But now it works really good. So what I have here is I've got all of these are being sent to the gate. Obviously the gate is also working hand in hand with the Chord module because that's what's ultimately giving all these pitches. So right now, if I turn number 1 on, which is actually down here, it's kind of weird. This is 1 and this is 1 down here. This is going to interact with the root of the chord we have picked. So I'm just gonna turn this knob here. And now you can see we have a little pink knob right there, and that's hitting, right? But you see that's hitting on the 1 every time. That's super cool. All right, let's just add some more now. So you can see now, it's always, the algorithm is always trying to put them evenly dispersed. So that's easy because it's 2. You can divide it by 2 to make half. What happens if we do 3? And so we're already starting to get this weird, like, I don't even really know how to describe it, but it's kind of like triplets, but it's not. All right, let's try 4. Pretty simple. We'll go to 5. That's sick, right? Okay, now let's change the sound a little bit. That's really cool. That's exactly what I wanted. This is a little bit cleaner than the Pulsar. I really like it. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and take track 2, or the second Euclidean circle here, and we're gonna go ahead and turn this up a little bit and see what we hear here. Okay, we're not hearing anything yet because we haven't turned up on the mixer. So it's doing the same thing right now, right? It's going 5. Ah, that's super cool, right? All right, now we can play a little bit with the attack and decay of this one. A little plucky. I like the normal better. So I'm just using the trippy AD model here. I think it's from BL, Blue Lantern or something like that. I got these for free. I got these at a big bulk deal. But before we continue, this drum loop is fire. I really like it. I think it's just like a loop sample on top of a kick drum, but it sounds good. Back to this. Okay, so that's all fun. Let's introduce the third chord now here. We're gonna try it out a little bit here. There we go. All right, now let's turn this up now. This will be the track 3. Right, so I'm not loving that sound. So that's kind of cool, right? We just switched to the pattern right there a little bit. And it's a little hard to see in the camera, but all these lights indicate when it's gonna happen. The pink is the downbeat, I believe, and the blue are what we're hearing. Obviously the pink also has a beat, so I have a little bit to learn with this too. That's awesome. Okay, now we can also go, I believe, there's a way to go to the second page because we also have 4, 5, and 6 on this one. So let me cheat and look at that manual real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, I was pretty close. I just needed to toggle. I need a long press 1, not just tap it. So if I long press it, now we're controlling 4, 5, and 6. So if I can turn this up, and then I turn up far, we should be hearing something here. Oh, Jesus. Ah! So that's a little ridiculous. Turn that one down. Okay, now this one's obviously too high, so I'm gonna mess with the voicing now to change what note of the chord each one is controlling now, right? That's kind of cool. And I'm just messing around, turning up the 4th one up. Now let's go back to just the 1 and the 3. Why not? To just the 1, and same thing. Let's mess with the voicing. So just a side note, we are using a diminished chord in Chord, which is like the chord you never use. That's why it's kind of abrasive. I didn't change that before this video, but let's just change that now. So now it's doing a major chord, and now if we turn them up, we should hear. Much more happier notes being played together. This is sick! Right, we got some bass coming in all of a sudden. This is sick. That is so darn cool. So yeah, my initial impressions with like all 5 minutes of this module is that it's exactly what I needed. Plus, I really like the display. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Qu-Bit Pulsar, this thing is super cool, and it's not going anywhere. Like this thing seems a little bit easier to program, to be honest with you, in terms of getting them out. But the fact they added the reset in this is huge. In the Euclidian Circles, like that's gonna make it play nice with so much more of my gear, so much of my future gear, because I've never done buying stuff. And yes, this is my last module for this case. So yeah, I hope you guys liked this video. I hope you may have learned something. I hope this may have helped you pursue your quest in modular, because I love modular. Modular is so much fun. Yada, yada, yada. And yeah, if you guys like this video, please like it. Like it if you learned something. Comment if you have any questions. Comment if you learned something. Comment if you want to get a Euclidian kind of generator case that I built here. And finally, we're at 90 subscribers this morning. So last video I did, I was at 80. I'm at 90 today. That's awesome. And once we get to 100, we're starting the 100 subscriber giveaway, where I'm going to start giving away gear and plugins every month. So just by subscribing, you can be informed of when I'm going to announce those giveaways. You can hop in and join. There'll just be a link at the bottom of the videos to join in. That's my dog barking. There will be links in the descriptions of all the videos for that month too, so you guys can enter into the giveaways. And I only have 100 subscribers. Chances are the giveaways are going to be pretty easy to win. 1 in 100 is a 1% chance versus a gajillion. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I super appreciate it, and I will leave you with just some more fun of this jam, because this thing is super fun.